Man, it's been a long time for real
Oh yeah.
since we've gotten. Yeah, man. You know what? It's been It's been pure, just pure all out nuttiness on my end, and I know for you guys, man. For you guys who don't know, well, first off, thank you for tuning into our show again. It's been a while since we're on here, so if you're still listening, we love you. If you're not, come back. But you know, between family issues, me, Doug out here building an entire home, and then Catherine out there hustling cars. I mean, we have all been pretty preoccupied, right, to say the least. Coordinating this feels like I was coordinating an event. Well, it felt like we were coordinating an event. But you know what? We're here. How you guys feel?
I feel good, man. I'm excited to record again. I cannot wait to make this consistent. So I'm
Dude,
excited.
there's so much going on too. But even before I go into that, how about you, Doug? All that meat you had yesterday, dude. You should have seen this picture Doug sent me yesterday. Holy crap!
What did he send you?
Me, I got a quarter of a steer, and I guess that I'm going to be honest with you. That's probably the best way to go about buying meat right now. I mean, for $4 a pound. I mean, I think I have somewhere close to like 100 pounds of meat, if you can even imagine what that's like. Just like in the freezer. it's pretty cool.
Yo, considering how these are nowadays, man, I will grab that meat. I'll put it in a vault. You know what I'm saying? You have gold. You bought the dip in meat.
Oh, I mean, but actually a lot of it too, I will say this. I just made like the chip steak for like Philly cheesesteaks. The meat is better, because most of the times when you buy meat in a supermarket, you're probably buying meat that's at least a week old ish, maybe a few days old, because by the time that it gets out of the slaughterhouse and then it's frozen, brought to the grocery store, defrosted, put on the shelf, and then you look at the expiration date, even then it's probably a couple days. And then that's if it's not like a manager special or something like that, like a sale by like 2-day kind of thing. It's kind of crazy to think about it. I mean, this thing was slaughtered and then packed up maybe a day later, and then we picked it up.
So in short, Catherine, you got to fly up here to Pennsylvania with your boyfriend, and then I'm going to grab my family. We're all going to go visit Doug.
Oh. Yo, I'm so down. So wait, Doug, you live like off the grid? This is...
I would say this is about as off the grid as you can get. We don't have the internet. I put in the running water. We had power, and then, we're slowly modernizing the power from what is like old knob and tube stuff. So, I mean, we're kind of putting new power in, but we have very little cell signal. There's literally nothing here. Like, and I mean, nothing. There is,
that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's in some ways it is cool, and then there's other ways that it's not cool. I'll tell you that, because everything is a minimum of about a half hour to 40 minutes away. Everything you need to go get.
But wait, I got in.
Oh no, go ahead.
I want to interrupt here because me and Doug were talking about this, and he brought me on to the whole world of streaming and through Blu-ray, not streaming,
yes.
Using a Blu-ray. So everybody keep on mental note, get a Blu-ray play, and I'm gonna let him get into that. But I mean, we had the conversation, right? A lot of people don't understand that part of being off grid. Like when I used to stay on my grandfather's farm in Ecuador, I mean, it was like same thing, no electricity. We had antennas on the TVs. It was you get your own. When you pull away from the modern, let's call it the modern world, or what we will see as the modern world, into a more remote, away from everything kind of lifestyle, how has that been on you thus far?
What, for me? I'll say this: it's different. It is true that you do become, I guess, very used to the modern conveniences of society. There is something to be said about like, oh man, I'm really hungry. I'm going to drive or even walk 2 blocks to go get like some food at the grocery store. This is not that. When you go shopping, you got to think about at least a week or 2 ahead, because you don't want to be driving 40 minutes every week, an hour and a half to 2 hours round trip. one time a week. That's a lot of gas, and especially with gas being as expensive as it is now, that's an expense. You better have some skills. For me, being into like canning and jarring, and then we just got our pressure canner. We actually did our first pressure canning the other day. That's a good skill to have, especially if you're going to be doing a garden and stuff like that, which we have done before. So having these kinds of skills is a good start. I'm sure I'll learn more while I'm out here, but there is something to be said about modern conveniences. But at the same time, like I was telling you about, it's not just having the DVD player; it's the I don't remember the word that I used, but I'll use this word. It's the, and it sounds corny, but the traditional nature of having everybody like, we're all going to watch a movie now. And then you just put the movie on and you watch the movie. Cause like I was saying to you, you're paying whatever you're paying a month for streaming. There's nothing on. And if there is anything on, it's usually terrible. There's something to be said about being like getting the family together. Everybody, we're all going to go and watch this movie. Like I don't know how to explain it to you. It's just, there's a certain level of value to that. I guess it's hard to put into words, I guess. It sounds so dumb when you explain it to people. That's the thing, is like when I'm like talking to people, they're like, what are you talking about?
When you were telling me this, and even now hearing you talk about it, it took me back to the days where like Blockbuster was a thing. You'll get a movie, go home, and then you pop it in, the whole family watches it, right? Nowadays, is you're watching a movie, oh, it's boring. You just get on, go to the next one, or you know what, I'll catch up later. Just pause it, come back 3 hours later, and just put it back on. Before it was more of an experience, right? It's like you're there, you're gonna make a night out of it. Yeah, I miss those days, man. Ever since we had that conversation, I'm thinking to myself, it's like, you know what? I kind of want to pull away from all this streaming and just buy DVDs. Like the new Top Gun. I don't know if you guys watched that movie's great.
Own it. That's the other thing, is that you own it. That's the thing that I guess it's hard to explain that to people, where it's like, well, what does it matter if you really own it? Like, I own the DVD, because like, it's like when South Park got pulled off of Hulu. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was South Park off Hulu.
I don't think they're on there no more.
Yeah.
They're on the HBO Max now, if I recall.
Well, now you have to get another streaming service to watch the show that you're watching on a different streaming service. Now that may be more or less expensive than the one that you already subscribed to. It's just like, no, I'll just own the DVD and then I can watch whatever I want. For some reason they've tricked us into thinking, oh, it's easier to just stream. I don't know how that happened, but like people were just like, I don't want to deal with the DVD. It's really strange.
It's for me, it's like cable just like went away.
Yeah.
Like I want to watch Sunday Night Football, but you can't watch it. From what I've seen, unless you got like some cable subscription. And I'm sitting there, I'm not about to pay $100+ or even $70 just to watch a game once a week.
Yeah.
And that's about it, right? Because everything else is on streaming services. Then you got streaming services. You got $15 here, $10 here, another $10 there, and it starts adding.
It's more expensive,
and on top of that, it takes. Yeah, and it also takes one of them. It's very expensive because it takes up your time too, right? So what happens is like, actually, I'm very guilty on this on YouTube. I could sit there on YouTube just scrolling through, pages and pages, trying to find watch, just sitting there, knowing I have stuff to do. So discipline obviously plays a factor in there to get away from that. But you could get lost in the mix of just searching, play 10 minutes, all right, next one, and all this stuff like that.
Well, I don't want to throw Catherine out there, but I mean, me and you were talking about Reels and how terrible that is. You know what I mean? Like one minute you're watching one reel, and then you're going, wow, man, what time is it? It's 2:00. And then you're like watching a couple more reels, and you're like, oh, man, I got to go do something. And all of a sudden it's 5:30. And you're like, holy Christ, what the hell happened to 3.5 hours?
That's why I stay away from TikTok. Dude.
Yeah.
I do not log on for the life of me.
Everything has reels now. You got Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Everything has some sort of reels now. And the worst problem for me is it's like I love comedy. I love watching comedy, right? before we used to have Comedy Central, or you have a movie play here and there. Now you just sit on there and yo, people, it's like I never knew so many comedians out there, man. They come up with the most creative videos on there. You crack up on one, so you watch two more later, is another funny
Yeah.
one. Another one is hilarious. And you look at the clock, it's like, holy shit, it's been 5 hours. Let me walk away. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So if you guys are on Reels, man, step away from that. It's a trap. It is a real trap. But besides that, I want to go into the topics we're going to talk about today. There's a lot of eventful stuff has been happening since we stopped recording. And Jesus Christ, man, it just doesn't seem like it's slowing down. One I laugh about the whole Donald Trump situation where they're trying to make a whole spectacle of him, with the insurrection and a whole variety of stuff, just to come out and find nothing.
Yes.
Right? They made a big deal of him having classified information just to find out nothing. But then you got here, which is topic number one. I'd love to go over and hear your guys' thoughts on this. Mr. Biden's classified files in the most absurd places where it should not be at all. Next to whereas one was next to his Corvette in the garage. Right.
That's hilarious.
Another one, I believe, more was found in his personal library, and I forget there's more places where it's found, and it's the crazy thing about it. At least on my social media pages, when they were talking about Donald Trump classified information, man, it was just one post after the other. But now that it's on Biden, I hear crickets.
Yeah.
They're just chirping away there. It's crazy. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
So, I've been following it a little bit. I have to get more into it, but so far what I have been seeing, of course, crickets, like what you've been saying, but The View, which makes me vomit. You have
what they do now.
so you have Whoopi Goldberg that she basically said, we have to wait on due process. Like, we need to find out what this is first. I wish we had that same energy for Donald Trump, it makes no freaking sense to me. And then I'm also thinking as well, because now apparently there's an investigation going on, or there is going to be one in regards to, where they found the documents and all that. And so I think, and I'm like, okay, so are they purposely throwing Biden under the bus, to like desensitize the whole thing with Trump, and then later make him the same, so then later to fuck over Trump in 2024? I don't know. I think about these things. I don't know.
I think you're 100% on point with that. I think they're gonna wait. And this might turn out to be like the same thing with the Trump document, or classified documents, where it was like a whole bunch of nothing. It was basically, he took napkins and crap from the White House that he was just like to sit around and go like, oh man, I remember the good times. This is exactly, I think, what Catherine's like 100% onto it. I'm sure they're going to find something, because they already admitted that there's stuff about the UK, Ukraine, and something else in some of these like classified documents. And yeah, this is going to be great. We're going to get Biden out of there. We're going to impeach him. He's got to go. And man, Trump had him too. We got to get him out of there. But I did see something interesting. Matt Gaetz was on that Tim Pool show, and he had said that there probably isn't one president or vice president that isn't actually, or I forget exactly how he said it, but most presidents and vice presidents probably have, committed some kind of crime against this act that they're talking about, this like treason act or whatever, because apparently this is a pretty flippant thing, because Obama has done this too. He was able to declassify and classify documents, and so was apparently Biden as vice president. They were able to classify and declassify things, and it's just, well, that doesn't seem like a very functional government. When you could just like, well, 1 minute it's classified, 1 minute it's not. It's just kind of crazy.
It really is, man. And you know what? How would it look? Okay, I want to put this picture in your guys' head, right? Biden, they're coming after Biden, clearly. Biden. Let's say Biden gets removed. He gets removed from office. Who's going to be president next?
Oh, Kamala Harris. Yeah,
Kamala. Exactly. Now, first woman president, right? How do you guys think that's gonna lay on Hillary Clinton's head to become Kamala Harris becoming the first president of the United States?
I think she's gonna have a meltdown just personally because Hillary Clinton. Okay, I'm gonna say something. Number one, I feel like the Democrats just don't want Biden to run again. He was useful for what he was useful for, and I feel like that's also another route. Aside from the things that I said, I also think it's a little bit of that as well, but. Going back to the Hillary Clinton thing, you have to understand, like, this woman's designer, like, her and Klaus Schwab have, like, the same designer. They dress like emperors, dude. Like, the way that they talk, the way that they act, these people, it's so obvious that they just want to go down in history for something. Hillary Clinton just wants to go down in history. That the way that she acts, I feel like that's what she wants. And I feel like that's not going to sit well with her. I think personally, but then again, Kamala Harris, she checks off all of the liberal boxes. She's Black. She's also half Asian, apparently. She's a female, among other things. So that's my 2 cents on it, but I don't think it'll sit well with Hillary Clinton. And on top of that, Kamala Harris doesn't really represent women that well, so I don't know.
Come on, Catherine, I find it very bold that you're assuming her gender. I'm just saying.
We'll
yeah.
You know, it's wild. I don't want to share where I was at, just out of respect for the people that was saying this, but I was overhearing a conversation, and they were talking about how they have family members who identify in different ways, and also have the whole she, they, all that stuff there, right? So so they were talking about between each other, like, I have a niece, I think it was her niece or some sorts. She likes to be referred to as she, they, right? Or some crazy stuff. And she's like, I don't know what to do sometimes because it confuses me, but I want to respect her because that deserves respect. And I'm just sitting there listening to them, like, just call her by her name, or just, if you point at her, just say she. Like, why does it matter? Why are you guys caving into this stuff, right? So they're just stressed out because they're talking about different people. It sounds like she's in high school. Based on the conversation I heard, sounded like they were in high school. The person who the 2 people were talking between each other, they're much older. They were just talking about their young family members. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, I don't have time for that. I'm just gonna call you what you are. That's it. You don't have to sit here and tell me he, they, she, them, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just what you are.
First it was that, right? I saw really quick on this, and this pertains to what you're saying. First it was that, the she, they, him, they, whatever the fuck. And then afterwards, it's apparently adult men identifying as toddlers. Have you guys been seeing that? I've been seeing that.
Yes, I have. I have seen that. Yeah, it's sick. That's probably the most sickest form. Oh, yeah.
Well,
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
Wait, is that real? Are you guys? I feel like you guys are just fucking with me at this point.
No, I'm not fucking with you, dude. Look up articles, Google that shit. Like, there is 50. Okay, look, I saw an article about a 52-year-old man that left his wife and 3 kids to identify as a toddler. Yes. And so there's also other articles.
Let me take a step back. So that's like me with my beard and all, getting my ass out to the living room, putting on my kid's diaper, and just looking at my wife and saying, "Mama." Like, am I getting that right? Like toddler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
and there's pictures of older men with like pacifiers and shit in their mouth and like dressed up as toddlers, saying that they identify as toddlers.
That's crazy.
Have you seen the guy? And this is the only actual time I've ever seen anything. He actually built a room in his house. Well, maybe not him, but somebody built a room in his house with like a 1-to-1 scale for an adult like crib. And like he lays in the crib and the whole thing. Oh, dude, it's sick. Like I'm like,
crazy.
Oh yeah, that's it. And I don't remember where. I think that was like, now again, could be wrong. It was maybe Vice, or it was like some other kind of like maybe a little offshoot kind of thing like that. It wasn't like mainstream, but there's like a whole sect of people who do that, and that's weird. That's
fucking. Dude, you know what? I'm not even surprised. I forgot. I think it was on I don't know if it was on Joe Rogan's podcast or like where he was a guest on a show. He was talking about something, and I searched it up. I regret searching it up. You guys heard of furries?
Yep.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole other group of weird people.
If you haven't heard of it, you know, just at your own, your own discretion, search it up. But don't blame me for anything that you might find there. It is the weirdest thing. Like there's people.
Yeah. Oh no! Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, say it. No, say it.
Oh, if you want to see something about furries, look up the Internet Historian on YouTube, and then look up this thing. It's called DashCon. It was like this convention for furries, and dude, it was a friggin' nightmare. They got kicked out of the hotel. They rented this convention center, and they actually had to like get the people to come in to remove these people. It was like complete debauchery.
Like,
yes. Do you know
wait,
how much money?
But you're missing a point. Okay, so
do you know how much money
do shit
those
like
things are?
Huh?
Do you know how much those things are? The suits and the hats and the helmets and the whole thing? Thousands.
Oh my God.
Now I'm not a furry. I just because of watching that stuff from Internet Historian, I'm like, dude, these people have money, but where are they getting it from?
You sure I'm not going to run into you dressed as a ferryman?
Yeah, no, I'm like 1,000% sure that ain't never going to happen. Dude, I don't even own anything with any fur on it.
Yeah, when they were talking about it on the podcast, they were talking about how like there was one furry that will actually get like litter boxes and use it like as their as their bathroom, right? And they were also talking about how they do orgies with those stuff. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, how wild is this? So going back to the point of what I'm saying here, right? When you guys are mentioning, adults identifying as children, I mean, there's fucking adults identifying as animals fucking. So there's I shouldn't be as surprised as I'm pretending to be.
I want to be Doug's neighbor now. I want to be like in the middle of nowhere. I want to be Doug's neighbor now.
Yo, you know what? This whole time I've been on the podcast, I have not. Look, listen. I've not watched the news as much, so I haven't been keeping updated with a lot of stuff like that because I kind of took a step back with everything going on in my life, right? And I'm sitting there. I'm just like, honestly, man, if there was another country that would have more like conservative values, right? Meaning just like family, faith, and you could have firearms. I'm like this close to saying, all right, let's get our bags and go. Because the level, like how far people have gone from furries. Identifying as babies now, apparently. He, they, them, she, whatever. And, the one that pisses me off the most, this is the one that really pisses me off. And I've made a promise that if anybody was to come up to my child and say this, they're probably going to catch a fist to the fucking jaw. No questions asked. MAPS, what is it? Minor attracted peoples. I think that's
what it is. I don't know.
So not to redefine what a pedophile is and call them minor attractive. Fuck off with that bullshit.
Those are the pedophiles, bro.
If somebody comes out and say, that's natural or that's how people are born, well, you know what? I was born with a fist that's going to go right into your fucking jaw. Like, that's just how I feel. Or, God, whoa.
I am going to gouge people's eyes out. Like,
oh my God, dude. Wait, let me see those nails again. Those are terrifying.
Yeah, I know.
I would be scared to piss you off. And then you just look at me and just like, I'm gonna keep your boyfriend in prayer. We see bad stars. We're calling 911.
It's funny that you bring up MAPS because have you noticed that over the past maybe 3 years they've been slowly trying to work the P into LGBT? They're trying to, yes, 100%. It is very strange that now we're including this. And I think this is a slow roll. This is like anything else. I mean, there's been deviancy that's been going on for a long time, obviously. But I mean, there was deviancy back then. I guess it's just kind of relative. But you look about maybe 30 years ago, as long as most of us have probably been alive, we didn't have any of that. So what, you know what I mean? And it's grown exponentially. It's not even like, okay, well, this year it's this, and then maybe like 10 years down the line it's that. No, as soon as things started to roll, I mean, we went from and I have no problem with, whatever, gay or lesbian people. I have no issues with that. But we went from gay marriage, which again, I don't have an issue with per se. And now within less than 20 years, we have men, toddlers, furries, maps. I mean, it's just like the floodgates just, you know what I mean? And it's like,
they hijacked it 100%. And this was the slippery slope that everybody was talking about. Then later people saying, oh, well, that's not acceptance of like gay people. And like, again, I don't care. I have no problem with gay people. I got gay friends and stuff like that. But this was the slippery slope that everybody was talking about. Like the love, first of all was love is love. Then later was the marriage, which again, I'm okay with that. I don't care. But now it started to get more extreme after the years. And I feel like the hijacking of the LGBTQ has been coming for a very long time, because that's where people started, where it's like, okay, well, let's accept this. And then later they're like, okay, well, maybe if we jump on the bandwagon, maybe our lifestyle will be accepted or something. It's the same concept. I know it's hard to digest, but it's the same concept.
Mm-hmm. It's wild, man. It's fucking wild. To say the least, it is the craziest thing ever. And you know what? I'm over all of it. It is crazy because a lot of the people that I know, who are gay are not even for this. They're as grossed out.
Yeah, they're not. They're trying to stay the fuck away from the LGBTQ community, and they're trying, and literally you don't even see them with the rainbow anymore. Like, they're just trying to get as far away as possible, because there are gay people that are normal, just like you and I, that they just want to live their lives. They just, they just have a different preference, just like we do. But, they're not with this shit. And that's where I think that if you're gay, personally, I think that you should be talking and speaking out about this, because honestly, again, I don't give a shit if you get married. I don't care if you have kids. I don't care. But that kind of stuff is just unacceptable, especially if you're trying to involve our children in it. That's a problem
exactly. That's what about, I keep seeing more footage come out when it's like kids going to drag shows, right? I believe a few of them I saw were in Texas. They're going to the drag shows, and, it's not just going to a drag show, but it's almost like the equivalent of taking them to a strip club, right? The way they present themselves, the way they're dancing, the way they're dressed. And I'm there like, Jesus Christ, dude, like that is wrong, man. We're having kids there, and you see a lot of these kids, they look uncomfortable. Or some of them are participating too. And like, that's who they are, that's how they are. No, you're raising them that way. Okay.
Ronnie, I have a really important question to ask you. I have a really important question to ask you, because you brought up a really good point. These videos that you're watching, can you tell me who's there with their kid? How many? Well, this is a really good question. Okay. Yeah. Catherine hit it right on the head. You don't ever see a video of a man taking their kid to a drag show. And again, no offense. I'm not saying that, feminism led us here. You know what?
Let me put a pause. I might have to disagree with that, because I've seen videos with men in there too. And it's just like a lot of the times, yeah.
Oh, we're not saying that there's no men. We're just saying what's the majority that you see.
Majority.
You know what? It's crazy.
That you see there, it's women. Like, women have been annoying the shit out of me lately.
Here's the thing, man. Patrick Bet-David, if you guys are not listening to the PPD podcast, I highly recommend that you guys. I genuinely believe it's my number one podcast for sure. Right? I think it's the best podcast out there. This group of people, because a couple of them, they bring on people with different and opposing views. And, they press them. They ask them the hard questions and they challenge them. It's not as simple, I just disagree with you. It's like, no, this is why. So they have a lot of conversations there. Patrick Bet-David also releases a lot of videos talking about different things of like success or why things are a particular way. And he breaks it down very, very well, right? I think, Catherine, you love Andy Frisella. He's referenced them a few times on there. So if you guys listen, he just did one recently talking about fatherless homes. Right. And the effects of fatherless homes. And I've discussed that on here too. And just like you guys mentioned in those videos, is majority women. Now, seeing men in there, but just because you're a man in a household doesn't mean, you're a fatherly figure, right? Because you could be a shitty dad, you could be a clueless dad. I mean, a variety of stuff, right? And this country has fallen so far apart, and it's going to continue that way until fathers step up and take charge and start saying no to shit like that, right? Now, I'm not saying, if your kid, you got to prevent your kid from being a particular orientation when they get older. I mean, if they go out there and they discover themselves like that, I mean, I don't agree with the lifestyle. I will say that openly. I've told people this. I don't treat them any different because they're humans just like me. I have friends and family who are there and I love them to death, right? So my kid is the same thing. If my kid was to come out, I wouldn't hate him. None of that. I don't want him to be a degenerate, meaning going out there dressed butt-ass naked, wiggling their junk in front of children. Like, to me, that's where I have the problem. Right? Nowhere else. So when I see that, it's like, these are effects of a nation that's fallen so far away from fathers who have fallen away from raising children to become men or teach women how to be loved, or girls to be loved so they could become women with value and all this other stuff, right? That's just what I see. So if you guys haven't checked out Patrick Bet-David, check it out. The last few videos he released, it's on the fatherless homes, and man, I'll tell you, man, it'll definitely give you a different perspective on what's going on here. Dude, from what I understand, actually, I want to mention another thing. Now, the numbers that I'm going to share might be wrong, right? But I believe in the world average, I think it's 7% for fatherless homes in like countries and stuff like that. I might botch the whole thing. The United States itself is upwards 23%. We're talking about almost a quarter of the nation, right? With fatherless homes. What do you think is going to come out of that?
You're seeing it right now. You're seeing it right
100%.
now. I mean,
100%.
I think it may have been worse at one time or another. Maybe this is the worst it's been. I think it's some of it is objective. I mean, you think of how many fatherless homes were around when World War II or, World War I was going around, where a lot of men went to war. A lot of women were left home to raise kids. So, I mean, you could objectively say one thing or another, about which period in time had more or less, the ramifications of it. But when you have, and again, I have no issue with anybody's particular belief sets or whatever. But when you're telling me 1 in 4, well, I don't know if this to be an actual fact or not, but let's just put it in general terms as this. Find me a kindergarten or any grade school that doesn't have 2 transgender kids in now. It would be almost impossible. The amount of kids that are just waking up one day and going, "Oh, I'm transgender." How did we get here? You know what I mean? There's a symptom or a psychosis or a sickness or some kind of maybe, you said with father's homes, something has gone wrong where you have so many people just one day flippantly be going, "Oh, I'm transgender." Well, where the hell were these people 5 years ago?
Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. So I don't, yeah. So I don't know if I agree with the figure itself of like not hard to find children that way. Are there more children coming that way? Yes, I feel that is true. And here's one example. So my twins were born in school, right?
Your kids are in school, right?
No, not yet. They're just they turned 3 this year, so it's going to start soon. We're trying to consider what we're going to do because I'm just not comfortable with the school systems up here with the stuff they teach. But before I even get into that. So before my kids were born, right, I was on the Twin Dad page on Facebook, and it's a group page. A lot of dads come on there and they talk about, just the different challenges they face and stuff they do with their children. Cool stuff, very encouraging because being a twin dad is it's not easy, right? So you got 2 kids, 2 personalities, 2 different human beings being raised at the same time, right? Now, this one particular individual posted on the group. He was talking about how he was watching, it was a young boy, was watching a princess movie. And he goes up to his dad and says, "Dad, I want to be a princess," right? Now, this is I don't remember his age, but really young kid. My head, he's like, what do I do in a situation when my kid comes up to me and tells me he wants to be a princess? Me personally, in my head, first thought comes, well, you're not going to sit there and be an asshole to him, obviously. But you're gonna reaffirm to him there are other things, other roles that are really cool for boys to have. There's kings, there's princes, there's all this other stuff for men, right? The amount of people, and I might be wrong for that, but it's just that's the way I was brought up. Now in the comment section, it blew up a bunch of people. There was dads talking about how they paint their nails with their boys. There's dads how they say they let their boys put dresses on. There's dads who are saying just like Doug did the eyebrow thing. That's exactly how I felt. There's dads on there who say let them wear what they want to wear. They'll discover themselves. There were so many dads, and it was very minimal amount of dads, and that's not speaking for an entire group, just the people on that common thread itself. Very few, like myself, came on there and be like, no, you got to teach them, the value of being a boy to become a man, right? Not what these people are telling you, paint their nails with them, put dresses on with them, all this variety, let them play with dolls, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, holy crap, dude, this is not cool.
Well, I mean, here I can only say this from my here. This is a small story from my childhood that there was a commercial for makeup probably in the 90s when I was about maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I saw it, and I went up to my mom and I said, "That's cool." I don't know, if that's the way that she described it to me, and she goes, "Well, that whatever," and I was like, "Yeah, I want to put on the makeup," and my mom. Now she made me probably look like a freak. You know what I mean? Like I had all over, and I looked in the mirror and I was like, and then ran away. And she was like, "Well, here's Batman. Like, go off and go do Batman stuff now." And I just evolved on. I think it's the attention that you put into something. You know what I mean? Like if your kid does that and you're like, "Yeah, you want to put on some makeup or whatever," and they freak out, they laugh, and you're like, "Okay, here's Spider-Man or here's a fire truck, go do whatever." And they respond well. I think that's like a normal adjusted kid. When you have the issue of the parents feeding into it to that type of level where it's like, "Oh, I'm going to do it too," that's when you're kind of breaching a barrier of
that's when
I understood when my mom told me, I'm like, "Why would you ever let me do that?" She's like, "Well, if I didn't let you do it, you would have constantly been bugging me to do it." You know what I mean? So I'm going to throw some crap onto you, and you look like a monster, and then you what I mean, you run away, and then it's funny, and you move on. You as a kid, you move on and forget because it's not new right here and now. You're gone. See, I think that's cool the thing.
That's cool because from what it sounds like, she didn't feed into it, right? You did that one time, and that was it. Go play with some Batman stuff. But these parents, was describing, they seem like they were really feeding into it.
Yes.
And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, that's wild, man, because what kind of messaging are we giving our boys, or girls if it's vice versa, right? And it's just crazy. So as a nation ourselves, man, I mean, we have a lot of work to do here. Me as a dad, I'm a new dad. My kid's only 2 years old, going on 3. So I don't consider myself as an experienced dad yet. I don't even know if I will ever consider myself an experienced dad, to be honest with you, right? So a lot of lessons come at this. I know, for my boy sometimes grabs my daughter's doll. I don't go away and snatch it on him, right? But I kind of deviate his attention, and I'll tell you, that boy loves airplanes and cars, right? That's his thing. So I spend time with him physically myself. I play with him with those stuff. My daughter, she loves her baby doll, man. She got her doll. She goes, she puts the blanket over, goes, "It's okay, baby. It's okay." And me being the big teddy bear I am, I go up to my daughter and be like, "Hey, let's put her to sleep." And, we just sit there, and then I'll help her put the baby to sleep, So, I mean, just as parents, I feel like we need to step up and, we need to spend time with our kids, tell our kids we love them, but also recognize, there are roles in this world, and we need to encourage those roles within our children, right? And some people might criticize me for that, but honestly, that's the way I see it, because look, my hopes for my children is for them to be successful in their future. Whether they are or they're not, it's up to them ultimately, but the best I can do is guide them. Right, guide them and teach them the things I had to learn. Teach them, right from wrong. And as they get older, they're going to have trials. They're going to figure things out. They're going to make their mistakes, and they're going to learn. But I'm going to guide them. Right, never hate my children. Always love them. Every single day I tell. That's another thing nowadays where I was hearing. I think it was a pastor actually was talking about it, or it might have been Patrick Bet-David actually was talking about it too. How a lot of people get caught up in what they're doing and they're not spending much time with their kids. Right. And I can find myself in a place where I'm so busy doing what I'm doing that, my children are playing around, and I'm thinking that's good enough that I'm here and I could see them. And, my son comes up to me, he's like, "Daddy, daddy, daddy." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Go play. I've pulled away from that to a point now when my kids come at me, I give them my attention, even if it's a quick minute. and I go out there, spend a couple of minutes if I have to, just sit there, let them beat me up, jump around, throw me, slap me up out there or whatever, just to know that, dad is here. Dad is not only here to guide you, but dad is here to experience life with you, to love on you guys and teach you guys, what's out there, right? Prepare you guys because it's a harsh world. So I feel like this was just, we've stepped away from so much in this country, and I genuinely believe as parents, particularly dads, just in my opinion, we need to really heavily step up. So Doug, if your time ever comes to be, to be a parent, I believe you're going to be a wonderful dad. No question about it.
Every single person I've ever talked to is like, "Oh, you'd be great at it." And I'm like, I don't know about all that.
Dude, I feel like Doug. Look, Doug's
Everybody
children
tells me the same.
Yeah.
Yo, look. Okay, so here we are. This is 3 different personalities. Being a dad now, I got my kids around. I want to take my kids to go see rally cars up north in Pennsylvania. I love rally, like seeing cars just go through the dirt road and do all this shit, right? So I want to take them out there. I want to take them to shoot guns and when they get older and all this stuff, right? And my wife calls me crazy. I'm like, dude, that's just my personality. They're my little creatures. I want to bring them in our world. Whether they stay or not, that's up to them. But I see it, like when I see Doug, I'm thinking these kids are going to be really handy. They're going to know how to defend themselves. And they're going to be very self-sufficient. Then I look at Catherine. I'm like, these kids are going to be stylish, riding motorcycles, slapping people who talk shit in their face. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just Yeah, you see? And whatnot. But as parents, it's our job to step up. It's our job to really lead our children. But that's enough about that, because we're gonna come up short on time. So I do want to get back into Mr. Joe Biden. Did you guys hear Joe Biden's birthday song today?
No, I did not. No. Please elaborate.
All right, let me share this here because it was quite funny. So I want to give everybody a little bit. It's messed up that it's funny, but it's funny. So here it goes. So Joe Biden decided to sing "Happy Birthday" to Martin Luther King. And his wife was there, or to Martin Luther King's wife or not. His wife was there, and he forgot her name. Watch this.
Frankly, thank you for your partnership. You've been a good friend for a long time. It's an honor to spend King Holiday with the National Action Network and with the King family, Martin and family. And understand, Martin III, we celebrate a legacy of your beloved father and mother. They work for the beloved community, but congratulations today to the honorees, including your wife, who I understand.
It's her birthday. Watch this.
Well, look, my wife has a rule in our family. When somebody's birthday, you sing happy birthday. You ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Birthday, dear Valen. Happy birthday to you. Well, happy birthday, dear Valen. Happy birthday to you. Well, it's hell turning 30, but you got to.
What do you guys think?
Oh my God!
I love Doug's expression.
It's every day. Every day, it's just a new day. No wonder they. Honestly, I mean, not for nothing. I'm not huge into like the conspiracy shit, but I mean, at this point, if they have the cloning technology, if they have the body double technology, they better start using something. Holograms.
Let me
something
tell you, man.
Because it's getting really out of control now.
I got a title for this. Anytime, look, again, probably shouldn't be making fun of it. It's pretty messed up. This old man is up there. Yeah, right. But at the same time, so I call it Biden's fuckery. So I'm gonna see if I come up with like a cool caption that comes up on YouTube that just says Biden's fuckery. And we'll play a little clip because I feel like constantly I find videos of him doing stuff like this. I'm just like, oh my God, bro. This is the president.
Well, he is evolving. He stopped smelling people, and now he's I mean, I guess it's kind of a good thing. He went from smelling people to forgetting their names. So I mean, at least it's an improvement. So it's not such a bad thing.
I mean, I don't know, because a couple of weeks ago, on another episode of Biden's fuckery, same thing. He was just he was trying to give a handshake to the air, looking for someone. I don't know if you guys seen those clips.
Oh yeah, I've seen that where he turns around and he's just got his hand out and it's just like no
And
one's there and he's
he's
just
just
like
like,
looking
Oh
around.
yeah, I remember.
Yes, yeah.
and they were just looking at him like, sir, there's nobody back there. It's insane, man. It's wild. But even with all that, I want to touch up on one more thing before we wrap up. And I know, Doug, you probably have a lot to say about this. Yes, was it yesterday? I believe it was yesterday. It was sometime last week. The final rule for pistol braces.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I saw that.
Giving Americans 120 days to register their SBRs for free, right? Well, don't correct me if I'm wrong here. I believe it's for free.
Yeah,
if
no,
you're keeping the
it's
pistol
free.
brace.
It's free. They're waiving the
But
$200 tax stamp.
That's if you're keeping the brace on it. But if you want to put the stock on it, then you have to pay the $200. From what I understand.
No.
Which is wild. No, right?
You can if you fill out the form and you register it, you can take the brace off and put a stock on there because no matter what now, it's still an SBR. So you are now legal.
That is it is the most insane. I mean, look, how do you just go from one day we're all law-abiding citizens. We not put a stock on our firearms. We've put a brace on it because we want to be obedient, whatever, right? And then from one moment to the other, like that, hey, now you have to register it. If not, you're going to face time in prison or a big fine if you get caught. Bro, that is wild. That is absolutely wild. And we all know this is not about safety. There's nothing about that that's about any sort of safety for people whatsoever. This is just pure control. This is another one of those, I'm going to put a foot
it's a registry.
in. And then
it's a registry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how they do it. You know, I shared on our Facebook group not too long ago. I was like, somebody had posted about the new ruling. And I'm like, I'm really hoping that people don't cave in. We outman the ATF by days, right? I'm like, I hope people really don't comply to this because the thing is this, right? The more people that comply, the more we're giving them room to keep violating the Constitution, right? They're a clear violation of the Constitution with the NFA all around, all around NFA when it comes to the suppressors, the SPRs, any sort of restriction that comes on file. Am I wrong?
Oh no!
Right?
I mean, I totally agree. I totally agree. And like I said on one of the previous podcasts that we had, because I remember you asking like, where do we go from here as far as gun rights go? And it's funny enough that you bring this up because I was sitting down with somebody, a friend of mine. I never got caught up in this pistol brace thing. I don't know. I just never went down that path. I have different interests. He I guess was confiding like where he's at with it, and we were talking about it for a while. And I guess what's done is done. And I know that's like such a defeatist attitude, and it's not meant to be that way. It's I guess in my aspect, like the ATF. Well, first of all, they can't make any rules. They can't make laws. That has to go through Congress.
They can't make laws.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of now in the ballpark of, who wants to be the big dog in the room that's going to go, well, I'm going to take on the ATF. And quite honestly, I forget the company's name. Sorry. But there is one company that basically just makes pistol braces. That's all they do. They don't make anything else. And everybody's got one. You know what I mean?
I think that's SB Tactical.
Yeah, SB Tactical. Okay, well, great. Now take that multi-millions of dollars that you got, and if you truly believe in it, well, then turn it right around and get into a lawsuit with them, because otherwise, nobody. Because not for nothing, it's very simple. Yeah. Daniel Defense is not going to do it. Knights Armament isn't going to do it. These major companies say it's damn.
Which is crazy. I want to interrupt for a minute.
They have defense contracts. They have defense contracts. They ain't going to get involved.
Exactly.
Yes.
Money, dinero.
Yes.
Todo aquí es dinero. I'm speaking Spanish now. And it's true because, honestly, it's not about the pistol, right? I think right now it's, and I see a lot of people are coming up and speaking about it, which is good because I did not see this before to this degree. But they're coming now. It's just like, not forget the pistol braces, the NFA in general. It's a whole fuck situation. be done away with, right? I just got my can after waiting 269 days, which is nowhere near as much as people have done paper filing and stuff like that, and they wait upwards a year or more, right? And I sit here and I'm just like, this is about the dumbest thing out there. Like, I don't understand why we have to wait a year, almost a year or a year plus for an attachment that goes on a firearm, right? It just makes no sense. And it's the one that makes even more no sense to me is just the whole brace and buttstock thing. I mean, if you look at a brace, like, come on, let's be real, right? It's not far off from what a stock is. And in all honesty, like, shouldn't be banned. A stock shouldn't be banned on that without a tax stamp, period. Right? It's just extortion. That's what it seems like to me. Give me $200 and I'll think about letting you have that. It's wild, bro. It's wild. So right now, like you said, there's multiple companies already, or nonprofits already submitting, their lawsuits. I know, like, one so far that seems like my favorite is FPC.
Oh yeah,
am I saying it right?
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, they're good with that. Firearms Protection Coalition. Yeah.
And let me tell you, and then not only are they good with it, but when I see them on social media, they're savages, and I love savages.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Another one I've seen that I've heard good stuff about, whether it's true or not, is Gun Owners of America. I've been following them. They seem like great people as well. The one I really haven't followed as much is the NRA, right? But I mean, they have
the NRA is useless. I'll tell you that right now. The NRA is and I've dealt with them a few times. Yes. Yeah, they're useless. And not for nothing. They stood, and again, this is one of my big faults with, well, not my biggest fault, but one of my bigger faults with Trump is that when he did the bump stock ban, the NRA was just like, we got to go with it. You know what I mean? You just got to go. And it's just, well, basically they're a low speed bump, for the most mild of rides. You know what I mean? It's incredible how much money they take in and how useless they are.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories. It's crazy. So I had to get an NRA. Well, I put in like I guess a donation, whatever, to give you a membership, because the range I was signing up for that's around here, they're required as part of the application. I was so hesitant. I was this close. I was saying, nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm tired of being indoors, right? So I did it. And after I did that, I was like, nah, you know what? I'm not going to renew. If they tell me kick rocks, I'm going to just kick rocks at this point, right? But then you have Firearm Policy Coalition, man. I just... the printers go burn. Like, every time I see them, that's where it comes to my mind, because that's always what they're saying, right? I'm like, I love these guys, man, they're savages. And I hope they take down this whole NFA ordeal. It's just a whole issue. And right now, actually, matter of fact, we have to wrap up now. But I just want to point out one more thing. Catherine, what's up, man? I mean, did you get your AR yet?
Not yet.
All right, guys, this concludes the episode of American Made Podcast. If you guys have questions, please,
I cannot with you guys.
You submit an email and make sure the subject line says, "Go get your damn rifle now." And then in the body of the email, just write the details of why Catherine should get an AR-15. And then we'll forward that to her. But outside of that, guys, thank you again for tuning in to the American Made Podcast. We're back. It's been a while. And, we're going to be back more often now that things seem like they've gotten somewhat less nuttier. What's up?
Before we go, I do have one thing, Catherine. If you do get your rifle, there's a women's training class coming up to the range, I think in June 3rd and 4th. It's a 2-day thing. I think, it's a co-ed class, but it's taught by a woman named Maddie, who I met at ORD. She's a nice lady. And if you find your way up here around there, that would be pretty cool. And you could have your rifle too.
There you go.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah. Your young boyfriend should just grab your bikes and ride up here. Like, dead ass.
I know, right?
We'll do like a live podcast.
That would be cool too. But that would be cool.
Dude, you know what? I mean, I don't want to give too much away on here, so we could stop recording now. But guys, thanks again for coming on here. And